Hey guys, it's Goosebumps Completionist, and today I'm bringing you another TV book review from the Goosebumps Presents series. And this one is book number 5, Night of the Living Dummy 2. Now, in case you're new here on the channel and you've never seen a TV book review from me, this is the one series that you will see me review that the lower the score, the more interesting the book. And I say this because, to me, a 5 out of 5 TV book is essentially a spot-on adaptation to the episode that this book is supplementing for. Now, if you don't know anything or the history behind these TV books, back in the day, the Goosebumps TV show ran on syndicated television, and kids had to use TV guides, and maybe there was a TV guide station if they were lucky, if they had cable, and they had to rely on re-airings to catch certain episodes, or maybe they had a VCR that was able to record, and maybe they were lucky to record some. But other than that, if episodes weren't mass distributed by like 20th Century Fox on, VHS tapes to sell, you're pretty much at the mercy of that. So these TV books filled a void for episodes that weren't released on VHS, like, officially. And Dummy 2 represents that, right? It was one of those episodes throughout the show that just didn't get an official VHS. So these books are supplementing fans to be able to experience episodes maybe they never watched before, or maybe it's one of their favorite episodes, and have it to kind of remember it. So that's my thought process about these books. Now, for this book, off the bat, I think this one is one of the more faithful books, with some slight changes here, nothing too notable. Maybe one or two standout things, but they're not really all that important. So this one is one of the more least interesting ones. But nonetheless, I think if you don't have access to the episode for some reason, it's free on YouTube on this platform. But if you don't have access to it and you maybe have this book lying around, maybe you can try it. I think it does the episode pretty good. Okay, so kind of run down the plot. Like the episode, this book starts out with Amy and her family. They're doing their show and tell night that they did in the episode. Her sister Sarah starts it off by showing the painting, and Amy's impatient and wants to, share her talent, but her brother, interrupts her and shows that VHS tape that he's recorded his whole family on doing embarrassing things, and that gets him in a little bit of hot water. And when it's Amy's turn, she has her old dummy named Dennis, and Dennis doesn't work properly and, of course, malfunctions before she can, share her whole act. And she tells her dad, hey, I need a new dummy. And the dad surprises her and says, look behind the couch. And behind the couch, there's a chest. And inside the chest, there is a new dummy. And the dad says the dummy's name is Slappy, and it's all yours. And Amy's excited, and she pulls out Slappy, and she finds a card in his tux pocket that says the iconic spell that is supposed to bring him to life. And he may or may not do so very quickly. And Amy kind of catches on that in her little monologue inside of this book. So after that, the story kind of kicks on a little bit. So Amy's practicing in her room, and, something that was revealed on that tape that her brother recorded gets brought up by her older sister Sarah, who says, just make sure you don't wear my things. And, she was caught wearing one of her sweaters, and Amy's like, okay, cool, whatnot. And then Slappy makes a remark, and Amy kind of feels like, wait, this is kind of weird. That wasn't me. But you can tell that she has this affinity for Slappy, and she sits him next to Dennis. And while she's trying to sleep, she hears a noise, and Dennis gets knocked to the floor, and she doesn't think anything of it and puts Dennis back, and Slappy seems kind of off to the audience, right? Well, then it cuts to There's like a mini time jump. Well, to the next day. Not really mini. I'm getting kind of ahead of myself. So the next day, uh, Amy awakes with the scream of her sister, and she goes in the room, her sister's room, and the painting that she's painted has been destroyed with red paint. And Amy is happening to hold a paintbrush, and the family immediately says that it has to be her. And she goes, "I found it in the hallway. It wasn't me." And they pretty much scold her and say that there's a punishment coming her way. And Amy gets kind of frustrated and heads back to the room and tells her new dummy Slappy that she's sorry that Slappy got such a crummy family. But when she's examining Slappy, she sees red paint on his hands and kind of questions this in her monologue and says, "Well, that's kind of strange, right?" Well, after that, now there's another time jump where there's a new show and tell, right? And Amy wants to showcase Slappy, right? And Slappy starts off like he's, working fine. But then in this TV book, it's slightly different from the TV episode. In the TV episode, Slappy essentially roasts the mom, the dad, the sister, and the brother. But in this TV book here, Slappy roasts the dad about his guitar playing skills, roasts the brother about being, Jed, and then roasts Sarah about her painting skills. But they completely cut out the roasting of the mom that was prevalent in the actual Night of the Living Dummy 2 book and the episode, which Slappy makes fun of the mom's weight. Take it or leave it. For some reason, it's in the book and the episode, but in the TV book, it's completely cut out of it. For some reason. So, yeah, there's that. And then, of course, Amy is telling her family that it's Slappy saying all this stuff, and the family gets irate, and especially the dad. And the dad says, "Take him upstairs. You're in trouble. We don't want you, going out. You're grounded." So she heads up to her room, and she essentially says, "Slappy, you're doing this to me. You're getting me in trouble." And she locks him away in this chest that he came in originally and threw him in the back of her closet. Well, later on, her friend Margot, like the episode in the book, well, like the episode, not the book. Margot comes over with her little sister Alicia. I said in the episode review her name was Tina. No, her name's Alicia. Thank you, Bean, the commenter out there, for correcting me. I could not remember her name for the life of me. But Margot's over helping Amy paint some flyers, and they're using markers from Sarah's room. And Sarah, of course, gets upset that Amy took the markers without, permission. And Margot and Alicia are just hanging out in the room, just kind of witnessing this argument. And once Sarah leaves, the little sister of Margot, Alicia, pulls out Slappy from the closet. And Amy rushes to get Slappy from her because she doesn't trust Slappy. And of course, Slappy starts making some comments to Margot, offending her. And then he grabs Alicia's hand and won't let go, and it scares the two girls. And it causes a commotion, and Amy's mom comes in to try to break it up. And Margot says, I don't want to speak to you anymore. You're not cool," and just bolts. And the mom says, put Slappy away. And Amy's like, "Fine by me," and locks him back up and puts him in the closet. Well, later on that night, she awakens and finds that Slappy has broken out of the thing in the closet. And she goes to investigate, and she finds Slappy downstairs trying to smash her father's guitar. And in trying to save the father's guitar, she ends up breaking it anyway and gets caught by her parents. And the parents are like, "It's too late to talk about it now, but we're going to talk about it tomorrow." And later, the next day, they have a family meeting in the room, and Amy's being sternly talked to by her parents in front of her siblings. And they say, "Well, maybe we should get you some help." And she goes, "I don't need help. It's Slappy. Slappy's doing this." And they, of course, don't believe her, so she's now kind of just on her own with this. and she's pretty much getting blamed for it. And let's just say, like the episode as well, there's a scene that happens where Amy decides one day, and she's sitting in her kitchen, and after her parents are talking to her, she decides that she wants to get rid of Slappy on her own. So she packs him up in a bag, takes him out to her bus stop, and tries to, throw him into the sewer. But there's an extended scene here when Amy comes down to the kitchen. In the episode, it just like cuts to it. But in the book, there's like a whole thing where she wakes up and she's going down the stairs and she's observing her siblings all staring at her, and there's some like anxiety there in her monologue. That's all not present in the episode, so it's kind of like an extended scene of that. But still the same thing. She disposes of Slappy in the sewer, and she heads back home, and there's muddy footprints all over the place. Her parents are gone, and Sarah's trying to clean up the mess. And of course, they think it's Jed that got muddy footprints all over the house. So Amy's following the muddy footprints, trying to find Jed, and she realizes that these footprints lead up to her room and lead underneath her bed. And she looks under the bed, and then she hears a voice behind her, and it's Slappy. And Slappy essentially reveals to her, like, you can never get rid of me. That was stupid of you to try. And Amy's like, I don't have to listen to you. And he goes, yes, you do. You read the code that was on the card. And Spongy444, I want to give credit to this, pointed this out. In the episode and in the book, it said that when Slappy says you read the card, you and I are one, he doesn't say that that's what it means. He just says, you read the card, now you and I are one, right? But in this TV book here, maybe the only time that in Goosebumps history that's ever tried to, provide what exactly Karu Mari, the slogan, what all that means. And the TV book says that Slappy says to Amy that what you said means that you and I are one now. So there's a contextual difference here, essentially, right? So that's kind of different, and it kind of stands out a little bit. Well, of course, this creates a commotion, and Amy, is calling for help, and Sarah comes in and witnesses Slappy come to life, and they both panic, and they run and lock themselves in the bathroom trying to recuperate and figure out what to do. The lights have gone out. Jed's downstairs, presumably, and they realize they have to get Slappy now and deal with him and get rid of him. So there is a bit of difference here, inherently, like the book, like they decide to get together and take Slappy and throw him into the sewer together. And in the episode, like, she's already done this by herself, right, Amy? So this is a little bit different. So they head downstairs where they think they hear Slappy. They get into the kitchen and they grab some flashlights and a mop and try to hunt him down in the living room. And there's the climax that happens, of course, and Slappy may or may not get dealt with. And you see what's potentially inside of Slappy. And then everything seems fine. The family all gets together, and Sarah vouches for Amy and whatnot. And then you get the twist ending involving, a certain thing that's kind of in and out of the story. And that's essentially the TV books, okay? So, yeah, this one was pretty faithful to the episode story, I would say. Yeah, pretty much spot on, minus a few things. And these are the things I can bring up here. Like I said, they cut out the mom insult when, the scene where Slappy is, like, roasting the family after Amy first, has Slappy and wants to, perform on the talent showcase, whatnot. They cut that part out. That insult was actually present in the episode and in the actual book. So it feels kind of weird that they cut it out of here, and I think it's worth mentioning. The scene where, you see Amy in the kitchen eating and her parents are scolding her, reminding her that, she's in trouble and whatnot, and that they really want her to get help and, to talk about what's been bothering her. That's extended, and there's a whole thing where it goes into her, like, waking up and going downstairs and observing her siblings and conversations going on that you don't see in the episode. So I think that's kind of worth pointing out. And then the last thing, of course, is the context thing, dealing with the "you and I are one." In the TV book, Slappy essentially says that the words on the card means "you and I are one." As in everything else, it's kind of like he brings it up to her and says, "Since you read it, you and I are one." So, yeah, it's a context thing. Like Slappy provides a definition of the card here. So that's worth bringing up. So yeah, this adaptation, I don't know if I mentioned this already. I should have already. If not, I apologize. This adaptation by Carol Ellis, based on the script by Rick Drew here, was pretty spot on. I'm kind of curious if this was like, the initial draft, because there are some things that seem like, in season 1, they had some episodes with narration. I was curious to why this episode didn't have it, and I think in this TV book here, there seemed like there was some narration there that could have worked, but I guess they didn't go with that style choice. And, like the extended kitchen scene, I'm guessing stuff like that got axed out because of, the 21 to 22 minute time crunch. They couldn't fit it all in there. Some unnecessary filler, just chop it out. But yeah, not having the mom insult, I wonder if that was cut out retroactively. Maybe the editors of these books saw that and was like, hey, we don't need that in here. Because it was in the episode. And that line was directly taken from the book. So that's the only big question mark for me here. And the whole context thing, maybe Carol Ellis added that in when she was adapting this. Maybe she was confused by what the script meant by it. I'm not sure. But nonetheless, still a really faithful one. Nothing all too much different. So from a 0 to 5 star basis, I'd probably give this about a 4.8 out of 5. I mean, those, minor dialogue changes, a context change here that's pretty evident, dealing with the card that brings Slappy to life, and a little fillerish extended scene. Nothing too drastic. I mean, you're better off just going to watch the episode at this point. But if you have it, it does it faithfully enough, so you pretty much get the episode out of it. So have at it. So yeah, that's my thoughts about the Night of the Living Dummy 2 TV book. Let me know down in the comment section. Did you enjoy this? Did you not enjoy it? I'm dying to know. And I'll see you next time.